Howdy, and welcome to Family Friendly Foods. Today we're going to bake. And what are we going to bake? We're going to bake a bar cookie that's peanut butter and chocolate. What can I say? I'm just going to stop it there. We're going to make a no-bake oatmeal cookie because it's fun to have the kids help you do that, and it's done right away, even though it's not hard yet. And the next thing we're going to make are cracker candies. And I believe it comes from a Southern tradition, but if you've never had these, they're addicting. So let's get started. Okie dokie, we're getting ready to make our peanut butter swirl bars. And I'm using real butter. I don't use margarine. Margarine's a trans fat. Now, I need my half a cup of crunchy peanut butter. And I already measured it out. Oh, yeah. And I need brown sugar, and I want 3/4 of a cup of firmly packed brown sugar. Now, the reason you firmly pack brown sugar is if you don't, it gets all these air pockets. It's not like granulated sugar. So you want to fill it up as far as you can. Now, I don't have any regular measurements. The little, not regular, this is a regular measurement, but I don't have any of the dry measures with me. Now, I want 3/4 of a cup firmly packed. And you know what? I need more. I love brown sugar. You know, a trick with brown sugar is you can take brown sugar, butter, and heavy cream and mix it together, and it makes a caramel sauce like you can't imagine. Okay, now, here I've got it. 3/4 of a cup of packed, then I want 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. You know, you forget when you're baking how much sugar you need. Goodness. See how that just normally will go to just what it's supposed to be. All right, now I've got my white sugar. I need 2 eggs, and again, you always want to use large eggs. That's what they measure. A large egg weighs exactly 2 ounces. But you didn't know that. I just kind of break them when I put them in here. You don't have to do that, that's just me. All right, now I've got that, and I need my vanilla, a cup of flour, and my baking powder. I forgot my measuring spoons. I'm going to go get them right now. Okay, now I've got my flour measured, you see? We had to cut that out because I had flour everywhere. And normally it's better to add dry ingredients to wet ingredients. But I'm just putting it all together right now. Now I'm going to get my bourbon vanilla. That's what I always make. I've got this vanilla that I make with, how much vanilla? I mean, 2 teaspoons. There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. So, but I think I need to use my teaspoon. And you shouldn't measure right over, because if you get too much, but I'm measuring right over. All right, what I do is I take bourbon, put vanilla beans in it, split them and put them in there, and then I've got them, and a month later, I've got some really good vanilla. Now, I'm going to put baking powder right there, and salt. And I'm just going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this together with a mixer. Oh, I think I need to back it up some. And usually what you'll do is you put your dry ingredients in the bowl, and then you add your wet ingredients to it. But I just didn't do that, because I just started making it and I got all excited. Now this mixer is from 1958. Isn't that great? Now you want your butter to be softened. And you do want to use butter, like I said, instead of margarine. Now, usually I use a stand mixer, but a lot of people don't have them, so I'm just showing you. You can make it with a regular mixer, even one that's 50, 60 years old. Yes. Okay. Now, I'm not doing my chocolate until the very sort of end. Now, I've got a greased pan, and I'm going to get a rubber spatula. I'm going to turn this out. I'm going to take my bar cookie mix. Oh, I love peanut butter. You know, peanut butter is a really good source of protein. And I eat some every day. And I know that sounds crazy, but in the morning, I've got a friend that eats it on an English muffin. I eat it on whole wheat bread. So here I go. I'm going to spread it out. Okay, I'm going to put this in the oven. I'm going to go on and put the chocolate chips in it. Then I put it in the oven and I take it out in 5 minutes. It's been so long since I've made these things, I have to look at the directions. Isn't that terrible? Well, I guess it's not terrible. That's why you have directions. When you bake, you really need to follow the directions. Baking is chemistry. And you really have to realize that. Because if you don't, you're going to come up with something you didn't mean to. It's like one day, when I was pastry chef at Vincenzo's, I had one of those really long days the day before, and it was like 7:30 in the morning, and I was baking chocolate cakes, and I got them out of the oven, and I looked at them, and I thought, what's wrong with these? Guess what was wrong with them? I forgot the baking powder and baking soda. So I used them for something else, but yes, stuff does happen. Now, I've got a 12-ounce package of chocolate chips. And let me tell y'all, they make them in 3 different sizes now. They used to always make them in just 12. Well, they've got 12, they've got 10, and they have some 6. So know what you've got. And I'm going to spread them around. I'm going to put them in the oven. I'm going to clean up, and then I'm going to take it out and swirl the chocolate in there and then finish baking it, okay? So here I go to the oven. I'm going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to swirl it, and we're going to start making cracker candy here in a second. 5 minutes are up. I'm ready to pull it out and swirl the chocolate. Oh, yes. Now I'm going to get a knife and swirl the chocolate. Look at that. Swirl, 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 swirl. I love doing this. It's kind of like when you do a cheesecake and you want to swirl it. Now, I'm going to put it back in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. And I still have the oven at 350. Oh, yummy. Whoa. Okay, ready for cracker cookies. All right, now we're ready to make the cracker cookies while our peanut butter swirl bars are still in the oven. And what we do with these, we lay our saltine crackers right next to each other on a cookie sheet. Now, you really want to make sure it's lined well with foil because I'm going to heat up some brown sugar and some butter and baste it on there. And what goes through the crackers, you'll never get the board clean, the pan cleaned unless you really got it covered even on the sides. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I need 1/4 cup of real butter. So a cup is 8 ounces. So this is 1/2 cup. Got another 1/2 cup. And now I want 1/4 cup. So I will take this, and 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons. 2, 3, 4. I'll cut it in half. Now you know this has got to be good with this much butter in it. All right, and I'm going to put that in there, and what I'm going to do is start melting this, and then I'm going to add, once it gets melted, my 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar. And again, I'm going to pack it. So I'm going to start out with 1 cup. Whoops, come on. Okay, whoa, come on. You know, stuff just don't want to cooperate. Okay, I got 1 cup packed. So I'm going to take this, put it on the stove, let it start melting, and then I'm going to add the sugar. All right, let me turn my burner on. And I'm going to let that start melting. And I'm going to need 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. I've got 1 measured. Now, this rubber spatula I'm using is one of the high temp ones. So it'll go up to 450 degrees. If it didn't, it would disintegrate in this. Okay. Oh, it's already starting to melt. I'm going to turn it down just a little. I don't want it burned. Got my 1 cup. Now, I'm going to make another 1/4 cup. And again, I'm going to pack it down. You always pack brown sugar. Yep, I got it. Okay, now I'm going to let this cook for a little bit. And, oh, is this going to be good? Yeah, you always want to let the butter melt a little bit, because then you don't have to worry about the brown sugar burning on the bottom. And that will happen. Trust me. It's like you got to remember all the rules. Oh, this is melting well. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get my bar cookie out of the oven, and it needs to set up. And then we're going to start working on the cracker cookies. I had to turn the temperature up to 400 for the cracker cookies. So let me get this out of the oven. All righty. Oh, yeah. That's nice. All right, now I'm going to put these here. I got my, which is nice. It just quit boiling. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, or not we are, I'm going to do, is I'm going to, well, I'm just making a mess with everything today. Whoa! This might be the best way to do it, though. Actually, it is the best way to do it. I was trying to see if I could do it neater for television, but it's not happening. You want to coat these really well. And you want to keep them separated. Come on, separate. Thank you, ma'am. All right, here I go. Yeah, like I said, I was trying to do this really nice, but forget it. I'm just going to do it the way I always do it. And that's pour it on. See, this is kind of like a caramel sauce. And you want to make sure you get it everywhere. Oh, look at this. I love cracker cookies. I love butter. I love sugar. This is really enough to do 1.5 sleeves of crackers. Okay, baste it on. There we go. Now, I'm going to put this in the oven for 5 minutes. When I take it out, I'm going to put some more chocolate chips on it. And as they sit on it, they're going to get real hot and they're going to get melty, and then I'm going to swirl them. Yeah, buddy. Okay, here I go, right in the oven. In the oven for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm getting ready to get my cracker cookies out of the oven. Actually, I probably should have made the other half of crackers, other half of the sleeve of crackers, but I'm putting my chocolate chips on it, and I'll spread them around when they start to melt. And they'll start to melt here in a minute. And then I will spread them. All right, now what I'm doing is the chocolate has melted, and I'm smearing it around. But I was trying to see what would happen, and I really got to admit, even on television, I can't believe I did this, but I did an experiment. Instead of using 1.5 sleeves of crackers, I just used one. And I should have gotten another pan out and made the other half a sleeve. But these are really going to be good. Now, I'm going to let these cool, and we're going to make some no-bake cookies. Okay, we have made our wonderful bar cookies that are peanut butter and chocolate. We've made the cracker candy. And now we're going to make no-bake cookies. And this is fun to do with the whole family, the kids, everybody. So the first thing I did is I measured out 3 cups of oats, and they're in this pan. Now, I'm going to heat up 1 stick of butter, and I've got all these pieces to make 1 stick. Okay, 1 little piece, 2 little pieces, 3 little. Okay, that and this. Okay, now I've got those in the bottom. Now what I'm going to add to this is 2 cups of sugar. Boy, I'm going to be flying tonight. All this sugar, because I keep tasting this stuff. 1 cup. Okay. 2 cups. Now I need a 1/2 cup of low-fat milk and 1/3 cup of baking powder. I'm going to put the baking powder in first. Okay, 1/3 cup. No, that's 1/4 cup. Okay, I'm almost there. Almost. Aha. 1/3 cup. All right. I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to add my 1/2 cup. They say low-fat milk. I use 2%. Got my 1/2 cup. Okay. Put it in here. I'm going to take it over to the stove. I'm going to, like I did with the cracker candy stuff, I'm going to bring it up to a boil and let it cook for a few minutes. And then we're going to make oatmeal cookies. Okay, now I've got this, and I'm going to bring it over to the stove. I'm going to start it on low. I don't want anything to burn. And I'm going to let it melt slowly and then mix it up real well. So I'm going to stand here and let that go for a few minutes. And while it's going real slow, I'm going to clean up my mess. All right, this has been boiling for about 3 minutes. And I'm turning it off. And here I go to my oatmeal. Time for the oatmeal. Okay, I've got 3 cups of oatmeal. And I'm going to pour this over the oatmeal. Now, these are quick oats. And I'm going to stir it up and get all the oatmeal covered. And again, when we go to make these, we can either do it with a little ice cream scoop, or we can do it by hand. And I'm going to do it by hand again because my arthritis is so bad. Now, I'm going to let this sit for a minute to kind of absorb this and to cool down so I don't burn myself. Now, look, I got my oatmeal cookies ready to rock and roll, and I'm just going to put them out on this parchment paper again because they won't stick. And you can make them any size you want, but you want to make them all the same size. So that's what I'm doing, or trying to do. You can make them close together because they're not going to get bigger. If they do anything, they're going to shrink some. Oh boy, this is still hot. Woo-wee, sister. If somebody wants to get a spoon and help me, they can. Okay, here are our desserts. We have our bar cookie, which was peanut butter and chocolate. We have our no-bake oatmeal cookie, and you refrigerate it for about 3 hours and it gets perfect. And then we have our cracker candy. Now, my experiment with the cracker candy wasn't really the best idea. You really do need to use at least 1.5 sleeves or 2 sleeves of crackers to the measurements on the recipe. But I got to tell you, this stuff is to die for. Well, it all is, and look, I'm wearing all of it, so I think I'm going to go home and drink something like ice water and wash all this sugar down. But I've had a great time cooking today, and just remember, chocolate's where it's at.